Right, Manchester United are in the market for a new centre-half. Romano's been out there talking about it. And there's a couple of people that have sort of identified Todibo as being one that United should go for. And while I don't think that's a bad choice, I'm going to suggest a player that ticks a lot of the boxes required to be an Erik ten Hag style centre-half. And I think the situation at centre-half is, as much as we would probably want to bring in a marquee 60, 70, 80 million pound centre-half, I don't know who that is at the moment. I think that you've still got a hell of a player in Varane, so whoever you bring in is probably going to have to play second fiddle to him when he's fit. But he does often have periods out where he isn't fit. Martinez is also going to be out for a while anyway, and you don't know if he recovers immediately. I think there's an over-reliance on Lindelöf and Maguire as backups, and I don't think they enable you to play the sort of football that you want to play. There's obviously a longevity issue with Varane, and I think that I've got a player here as an alternative to Todibo that probably delivers a lot of the boxes that United are looking to check. Now, I think a modern-day centre-half should probably have 3 or 4 assets that enable him to play at the highest level. I think pace. And with that pace comes power. You can't be built like Peter Crouch at centre-half, so you have to be a powerful, pacey player. You don't really get away with just being able to read the game at the moment. Like, you might have been able to get away with that in the 90s in Italy. You're not seeing that no more. The game is far too transitional. There's such an emphasis on pressing the opposition in their half to try and win possession back high up the pitch that you have to defend on the halfway line 1v1. And if you're physically slow, you ain't going to handle that. So a team that wants to play at the top of the table requires someone that is both pacey and powerful. I think they have to be able to progress the ball. And that doesn't just mean playing out. Increasingly seeing centre-halves step in with it. Not to the extent we're not going full Wilder with this, where we see the overlapping centre-half, but we do require a centre-half that is comfortable with the ball at his feet. And if they can move the ball forward by passing, which is my first preference, or by driving with it, which would be my secondary preference, then that is certainly a preference. They have to be able to visually read the game and be comfortable getting into a channel to cover. Quite often these centre-halves are asked to play 2v1 with one striker at the back, occasionally 2v2 depending on what you're trying to do in a game. And sometimes that might mean that a fullback who's pushed up might be a little bit out of place on a transition, and the centre-half's going to be required to go out to a channel to make a challenge against a tricky winger. So you have to have the ability to go out into those wider spaces and defend effectively 1v1 in those areas. They still do require aerial dual ability, which is one of the things why Maguire's been kept around at the club, I believe, or one of the reasons why he's still useful at the club despite not having the power or despite not having the pace or the ball playing ability. I do believe that his aerial dual success is a massive factor of why he is still in the team. Right, lads, gather round. You have heard me banging on about Manscaped for ages, mainly discussing the virtues of a well-trimmed ball bag. But today we're going to move a little bit north, and something that you might have actually seen, my beard. Manscaped isn't just a master of below-the-belt grooming. They have conquered beard territory too. And I know this is groundbreaking news. Let's delve into the details. Now, we are all well acquainted with Manscaped's brilliance for the downstairs department. They've been many a saviour of many a date night and many a ball bag. And you know the Lawnmower 4.0 by now. I'm not going to tell you about any of the features for it, because if you don't know them, then you're never going to know them, right? It's a certified hero for the nether regions. But they're here for the beards now as well, and they've got the beard hedger. It is a cordless miracle worker that is both tough and gentle. It takes down facial forests in a single stroke. It's got 20 different lengths of settings. It gives you the power to totally customize your beard without cluttering up the bathroom and having a million different attachments. Now, they've also got another member of the band, and it's the Handyman. That is a dual-sided foil razor that has got your back, whether it's your face, whether you're going clean shaven or just tidying up a little bit around the neck. It is the epitome of comfort in the shaving world, and it's got a seamless and nick-free experience. So listen, if you want to give your beard the VIP treatment that it absolutely deserves, get over to manscaped.com, use a special code Howson20, you're going to get 20% off and free shipping. And while you're grooming the jewels, let's not neglect the crown. With Manscaped, who said beauty had to be a pain? Let's keep it neat and tidy, top to bottom. Now, Todibo ticks all of those boxes, which is why that he's heavily touted and heavily favoured. But so does another centre-back. And I'm going to take you through that centre-back in a second. But I'd like to take you through Todibo's strengths first. So Todibo is tailor-made for a high defensive line system. He steps out from the back. He is capable counter-pressing the opposition. And I don't like this. Personally, I wouldn't want my defenders to do this. I wouldn't want my defenders stepping out in any sort of line. But this is something that I'm seeing a lot more of in the modern game, and it does appear to be effective. David Moyes' mid-block at the moment is effective because you see the defenders stepping out of the line and engaging in midfield, which is risky strategy. Way too risky for Diver and Dave, but he's doing it and he's fairly effective. Now, Todibo is a ground duel winner, and he possesses really good jumping ability in the air. He has a sensational recovery pace and has got the ability to sweep anywhere across the line. He's also very good 1v1, man marking, and also breaking up play in the wider areas. He typically plays as the right side centre-half in a 4-3-3, and his natural tendency is to move towards the far right when a fullback will invert during a build-up, so he does sort of go out towards the right-hand edge of the area a little bit. That does allow a passing lane to open up for that right winger. And then as the fullback has rolled in, he's got the short option in the sort of number 6 area as well. He's a valuable build-up player, and he's involved in a lot of short passing patterns to recycle and progress the ball. And he excels at breaking from the defensive line with carries and then passing it towards the right winger, because what happens when a centre-back carries it rather than looks to passing it? When they pass it, they obviously maintain the defensive structure. It's a slight more risky move when a defender does it, but it's quite often extremely effective when they do it, because people are used to seeing that back three, if it's a 3-2 build-up, they're used to seeing those three players just put the ball into the 2 in front of them. And when a player, and that means that a team goes, okay, well, you're going to do that, well, then we're going to line up like this. And then they do a bit of a mid-block where they're going to fill up all the gaps. But when someone runs with the ball, this is where possession-based teams get it wrong. And I think it's probably one of the main reasons why Pep Guardiola decided to go for Jack Grealish. The main problem, and when possession-based football becomes boring, is because you have far too many players who get rigid and they just go pass, 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 bzzz. We experienced it with Louis van Gaal. Manchester United under Louis van Gaal didn't have any runners. And I think that's why Jack Grealish is effective, and I think that's why Todibo is effective, because sometimes when you've got players that are passing, you're happy days. If you're in a defensive structure and someone's passing it around, you can be all right with that. You know that a possession-based team is probably not just going to launch one towards your back centre-half where they're going to go for a 50-50. That's not typically what they do. But when someone picks up the ball and he goes, catch me, bosh, and starts running and commits someone. Now, your little defensive structure, let's say you're the right side midfielder or left side midfielder, and I pick the ball up as our wide centre half and I run right at you. You've got 2 options. Do you stay with the coverage and the line that you're holding, or do you engage me and I potentially play a 1-2 around you and take you out of the game? And that's why runners are important. And it's a riskier strategy because now actually what we had as a 3-2 build-up is a 3, and who else is involved back there? And if I lose the ball right there and then, it's problematic. But it's bloody effective. And Todibo's good at that. His on-the-ball game is a massive, massive strength. He's as good as Varane, I would say, in box defending. And I think he might be an upgrade on him in possession. And as well as having the step-out ability, he really has the switch and ball-striking ability in him as well. Now, there's another name I'm going to throw at you because I doubt United's ability to do what could be a primary target. And if United aren't looking at this, lads, then they are wrong. And the name is Kevin Danso. Danso was an essential element to Lens' run to the Champions League last season. No team had a better defensive record than Lens last season. He's also just had a very good performance where Lens beat Arsenal in the Champions League, so you can't be like, France, whatever. He's doing it domestically, he's doing it in Europe, and he's actually doing it on the international stage as well. Now, if you look at the profile of Kevin Danso, he is quick, he is tall, he is strong, he's about 6'3". There is power in there. He's got incredible defensive instincts, and he is a big progressive carrier of the ball. Now, I think the perfect modern-day prototype centre-half is someone who's dynamic enough to defend high and defend the large spaces, not have to worry about what comes in behind them, as well as being combative enough to be able to go 1v1 if someone puts a big lad up against you. And I think Kevin Danso really turned heads with that performance and the victory he played a part in over Arsenal in the Champions League. Now, if you start looking at what Kevin Danso's got in terms of his FBref stats, well, he's in the top 10 percentile for a handful of quite interesting stats. Challenges won. That's a big one for a centre-half. Dribblers tackled percentage. He's in the top 10 percentile for it. Shot creating actions, which is a bit of a madness for a centre-half, but also progressive carry distance. He's in a top 10 percentile for those. Now, he plays in the centre of a defensive three, and he is the cornerstone of the defence, responsible for marshalling that defence. That shows communication, that shows leadership, as well as being the first line of the build-up in possession too. Now, I think he's also got the athletic ability to be able to play as a wide defender in that 3-2 build-up, or in the central of a 3-2 build-up. He can defend 1v1 in the channels. He can cover wide spaces in the final third. There's one of the centre-halves I like at the moment in world football is Rudiger. And there's a stoic hardness to the way he plays, and the physique of Danso and his sort of mentality. It's like you're looking at a copy-paste of Rudiger. I like him a lot. And an interesting thing with Kevin Danso is he's playing for Ralf Rangnick, so you know exactly the sort of style of play that is being implemented there. He grew up in England. He came through at MK Dons. He grew up in Milton Keynes. So he would be a homegrown player. Now, a player that we identified last year as someone that might have been suitable for United was Kim Min-jae. Kim Min-jae obviously moved on to Bayern, and Napoli chose to look at Kevin Danso to replace him. Now, I don't know why that fell through, but I know that Napoli were looking at Kevin Danso to replace Kim Min-jae. Now, if United were truly in for Kim Min-jae, and I have my doubts that we were, sorry, then why not go for the player that Napoli were scouting to replace him? And it's someone that we know is playing in a league where there is a heavy transition involved, playing for a manager that we know is playing a very similar style to the one that Ten Hag wants to play. The homegrown factor is massive. I think Kevin Danso should be the centre-half that Manchester United are looking for. Value-wise, I reckon it was probably somewhere in the region of 30 million that they were looking at for Napoli to replace him. United means it's probably 40 million. He's a great age. He's a great tactical profile, and he's a character. And I think that United have signed a couple of characters lately, like Amrabat and that. I think this kid fits the bill. I want to know what you guys think. Todibo or Danso? You like them both? Do you like them either? I think either of those would be a great signing for United, but I don't see anyone talking about Danso in the same way that I do Todibo, and I think they're on a par. And I think both of them would drastically improve on Lindelöf and Maguire, and both of them could start to push Varane as he ages and as his durability and reliability starts to play a fact. Let me know in the comments your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.